All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Bowls Victoria training webinar. My name is Matt Tobre, Club Education and Training Manager, and joining me tonight is Jimmy Whitehead. He's the Events and Competition Manager. Competition Manager. How you going, Jimmy?
Good, mate.
Stumbling over some words there. Sorry, apologies for that.
Corrected the S up. All good. Yeah, all good, mate.
Excellent. We had a really good session this morning. About 50 odd people joined us, which was great. And let's have another great session tonight. Just a reminder for people who are joining webinars for the first time, it's a little bit different to your traditional Zoom meeting. So you won't be seeing each other's videos, unfortunately. You'll be seeing us. So it's a little bit like the cinema, sitting back and watching a presentation. There is a little bit of interaction, and we will ask you to throw questions into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen, your Zoom screen. So please add some questions in there, and there'll be a section of tonight's webinar where we basically throw it over to those questions and do our best to answer them. We are recording tonight's session, and we also recorded this morning's session. We'll be working out which one was the best recording, and we'll be putting that up on our website. So if you've got any side managers that are unable to join our training tonight, please forward on that video so they can be prepared for the upcoming season, which is getting very close, less than 2 weeks away. This is how tonight's session is going to work. We've got quite a bit of content we'll get through. Firstly, we'll unpack the role of a side manager. So if you're a side manager for the first time, we'll try and unpack what's expected of you. We'll do quite a bit of Bowlslink. Jimmy and I are both in agreement here. We believe that Bowlslink is one of the roles of a side manager. So we'll look at who can enter results. We'll look at the result process. If you're only logging into Bowlslink for the first time, we'll talk about how to activate your account, and I'll do a quick live demo on how entering teams, how easy it is to enter teams and results. Jimmy, who's written the COPs this year, he'll come in and talk about some really important conditions of play that all of our side managers need to understand and put into action. And then, as I mentioned, we want this to be a little bit interactive, so we want to see some questions in there that we can discuss. And we'll finish with best practice and Bowlslearn. Probably a lot of you don't know about Bowlslearn. It's a new learning management system from Bowls Australia. And there's some Bowlslink units in there that you can do. There's a pennant manager, which is basically a side manager one. We'll have a look at that. The roles of a side manager, as I said, I believe that side managers really need to take the responsibility of Bowlslink on. So making sure teams are entered into Bowlslink prior to play. We'll talk about, as the away one, how important it is to make sure those late changes are included. Filling out the cards, that's Division 1 and below for Metro and all of midweek. And you might have already heard that we're trialling, or we're actually not trialling, we're going to use live scoring for our top levels. Tossing the coin, so to see who has the map for the first end. Entering results into Bowlslink, and there's some conditions of play that you will play a part in, and Jimmy will talk about that later on. Got a few questions this afternoon about who can enter results. It's really important to know this. Club administrators and primary contacts, well, club administrators firstly, they look after the database. They also get access to all of our sides. And now that doesn't mean that you need club admin to do teams and results, because you don't do it through the admin profile, you do it through your My Clubs. So primary contact is when we set up an entry, we attach a player to that entry and they become the primary contact. So the first two people, and this can be more than two, because you can have multiple club administrators, they're the first ones that get to manage the side. What I would be doing is, once we've identified our side managers for the year, I would be then allowing them to manage, and I'll show you that process. Once you're a side manager and you're managing, you then have the ability to allow other players to manage as well. So if you're unavailable for a week, you might do a bit of a handover with another member, and you can allow them to also manage the side. So I'll just quickly go through that again. The process starts with our club administrators and primary contacts. It moves to our side managers, and if needed, it can go to other players in that side. I'll just reduce our video here. All right, this is the result process and how it works in Bowlslink. Most of our playing areas and regions have now moved to home team finalisers. They just believe that's the better system. So in here, both the home and the away enter their teams prior to the game. Really important here, if you're the away team, make sure those changes go in before the start of play or before the home team finalises. The home team really needs to match the skips. That would be the first thing that you'd be doing once your game is finished. Then obviously correlating those results to those rinks. You do have the ability, if you make a mistake, and I'll show you this evening, how you can unfinalise that and fix it up. I would then be checking with the away team before you hit finalise match. We do have a couple playing areas and regions still using away team confirms. Similar process, teams go in before the game. The home team is responsible for matching skips, but the away team can fix that up if it hasn't been done. The home team still puts in the results with the ability to make a change, and then they hit complete. It then goes over to the away team. They get to check the results are correct, but don't have the ability to change them. Then they hit confirm and the match is finalised. So that's the two processes. Straight away, when you're doing teams and results and you see a finalised match at the bottom of your screen and you're the home team, you know that you're following the home team finalisers. If some of you are going to be brand new to Bowlslink, this is how you activate your account. Obviously, we can all access Bowlslink via the internet. So it's a web page, bowlslink.com.au. When you get there, you can head to the bottom, because a lot of you probably won't have a password and you just need to do that reset. That works by entering your email address. A code will go to your email address, so you need to retrieve that without closing Bowlslink down and enter that code. Once you've done that, you get the ability to set up a password. From then on, it's just using your email address or your national ID number and the password that you've set up. And you always have the ability to go and reset that if you need to. All right, let's get into a live demo. I'll share my Bowlslink screen. Now I've got, so that's where that reset is. If you don't have a password or if you want to reset it, I've entered in the side manager's national ID number and their password. So I click login. If you don't have access to the database, you're just going to come straight into this page here, which is the My Clubs profile, and it'll say Member Overview on the top left. If you don't see Member Overview and you see Membership, you're in the Club Admin. Just be careful. There's a competitions in Club Admin as well as in your My Clubs. The competition in Club Admin is where you can create your own comps. So we need to go to the My Clubs competitions, My Competitions, and you should see your comps sitting there. I've set up a demo comp here for tonight. So I'm going to click the Actions button. I'm going to go, and this is probably the most common question I get is about managing and how do we allow others to manage. So I'm going to do that first off. I'm going to click manage entry instead of manage results. I'll get some details of my entry. And I get an edit pencil underneath my player list. So I click on that. Now, if I wanted to add myself in there, I would click link member. I'll move my screen in the middle so I'm not on top of those boxes. It's important to know your ID number. Hit search and select. And then you've got a little box down here, which is called permissions. Allow this player to manage the entry. So I hit save. And now I'm right to manage. So I can actually do that to any of those other players. I think Craig, we may have given him managing rights this morning. If I wanted to do that to Brendan, tick that and save. So you don't need to go out and get club admin. That has a new security setting applied to it. You just need to come in here, add your player if they're not already added. You'll probably see this year for Metro, we've imported last year's entries, so your players should be there. And just expand their details, go down to the bottom where it's got permission, and tick that and hit save. All right, I'm going to go back to my competitions. I'm going to go to the demo comp. Now we're going to do results. So I'm going to click on manage results now. I will see my pending rounds. And obviously, if this is before round one, you're going to see all your matches there. So I'm going to click on the action button for round one, and I'm going to click view results. It's the only option you get. You'll see that the away team have done their job. They've put their side in. And myself being the home team, I'm going to put my team in. You will probably see most likely some players in your drop down. If there's a player that you want to put in and they're not in the drop down, you're going to need to use the blue import button and hit save. So once your teams are done for round one, come straight in here and put your teams in. I know a lot of side managers will do this on a Friday. I might just import these final ones. Once you import them, they will then be in the drop-down menu. And obviously your import comes straight from your database. If you do get an error, most likely playing rights or financial, you'll need to update your database. And that needs to be done before round one. Okay, I've got all my players in now. The opposition is there. We've played our game. I now come back into Bowlslink and I'm the home side manager. My first job is making sure that our ranks match the cards. So let's say Edwin needs to be playing Angela. So I'll come to the action button here, swap away teams, and I want Angela to be the skip and hit swap. We'll do that again. Tristan is going to play Leanne. So I'll go down to Tristan's team, hit the swap away teams, and get Leanne and hit swap. Obviously, as the away team, if you've got any late changes after putting them in, you click on Manage Teams and get to change them. All right, once both teams are in, you'll see this button has now changed to Update Results. Click on that. Oh, no, that hasn't helped. All right, and now I put my results in. Obviously making sure that the results and the cards match up. Good rink there for MCC. Update results. Very good rink there for Heathmont. And we've got a tie in the last. Hit save. You'll see it works out. It allocates automatically 2 points for a rink win. And your match points are there. So they're all up the top. So Heathmont had a good win. You'll see down the very bottom, I've got my finalise match button that's now active. It's only active once teams are in and results are in. This might be the time that I then go to my away side manager and ask them to check that everything's correct. So rinks match up and scores are correct. They're happy. They might not be if they lost, and then they hit finalise match. Pretty straightforward. Let's do round 2 and we'll bring in some other unplayed and forfeit match. So manage results. You'll see that round 1's now gone to completed. All right, so view results. Round 2, the good thing about round 2 is you can now import your round 1 teams. So top action button, import teams, select the round that will have a date and who you played, and import teams. So that's a really quick one. Once you've done your round 1, you can then always bring another previous round back. Let's do again matching the skips. So Peter's going to play Karen. Swap away teams, choose Karen and swap. Okay. We've got an unplayed game and Jimmy will talk about how a heat out happens. So we come up to the top action button. So we're not going to put any results in here. Top action button, mark as unplayed game. Put the reason, and you may want to put the time and finalize match and hit submit. I'm not going to do that. I'm now going to demonstrate a forfeit. So let's say Heathmont call MCC and say, look, we can't play, we can't field the teams. MCC being the home side manager will click on forfeit match. They will choose Heathmont and they'll tick finalize match and hit forfeit. So that's that's demonstrating markers unplayed and forfeit, and I imported my teams. I'll put my results in for this one. Show you how easy it is. A good win there for Heathmont. Okay, as I mentioned before, I would then go to my away side manager just to double check. We've got our sides matching up and our scores are correct. Hit finalize match. All right. I'll bring Jimmy back.
Good work, mate. Yeah. Do you want to step that back a couple and just show what happens if we're suggesting that in an ideal world, both side managers are the ones responsible for their Bowlslink entering the sides before they get there on game day, responsible for making any last minute changes. Obviously, things can happen on the morning of a game, so it's important that the side managers are up to speed with Bowlslink and they can make them changes right there and then as they happen. And then after the game, once you finished at 4:30, 5 o'clock on a weekend, you would head inside. The home side manager is the person responsible for entering the scores and making sure that the skips match up. It would then be our recommendation that they sort of give a quick show to the away side manager before the home side hits finalise. recognizing some instances mistakes might be made. So you just want to show Matty where you go if there has been a mistake made and you have finalised the game. Just where you can request
Lodge an appeal.
lodge an appeal of the result that's been put in. So it can happen by mistake. It can happen in a few different ways. First thing's important is to keep hold of your scorecards from the game.
I think the majority of errors we found last year was skips not being matched. Would that be right?
Yeah, sounds about right. And a couple of obviously incorrect errors of import of score and stuff.
Okay, so to locate that, go to our Bowls Victoria website. Click on pennant. You've got Metro pennant and then down to result dispute, and the same for regional. It's the same page. Down the bottom, there's that online form that you need to fill out. So put your details, and you'll need your cards, and upload it, and we'll fix it up for you.
Yeah, we get to them pretty quickly. Cool. We'll go through some.
All right. Conditions of play.
So clause 27 covers the draw of rinks. I won't read it out word for word because by the time I finish talking, you could have read it yourself on screen anyway. But effectively, what this clause does is outline how and when the draw for rinks should be done. So I use weekend pennant as an example, the 1 p.m. scheduled start time. That means the pre-game pennant practice for both sides is scheduled to be between 11:30 and 12:30 p.m. Obviously, the home side can practice slightly before 11:30 as well, depending on when the green's ready. But between 11:30 and 12:30 p.m. is when you should be having your pre-game pennant practice. Once that 12:30 time hits, it's from then that the side managers should get together and do the draw for rinks. Best practice for draw for rinks is to obviously have your cards filled out. You give your cards to the opposition manager, vice versa. They would shuffle them and place them face down. You would then select the cards. So if you're playing on rinks 1 to 4, you say, right, for rink 1, and then you'll pick one card from the pile and they'll pick one card from their pile and you match them up through there. Draw for rinks should not be done before pre-game pennant practice finishes. There shouldn't be any instances of team managers doing the draw at midday and then shouting out to the players, I'll go practice on rinks 1 and 2 because that's where you're playing. That should not happen. So yeah, in majority of cases, minus Premier League, where we'll be doing the rink draw for them, you should be doing the draw for rinks after 12:30, between 12:30 and that sort of quarter to 1 time slot when 2 trial ends start before we start the game, quarter to sort of 10 to. Clause 33 covers the awarding of points for abandoned games. So as we'll get to in a couple of slides' time, we'll tell you exactly what an abandoned game is, but effectively a game that is commenced that cannot be completed. So in the below summarization of the clause that Matty's put in there, it says how many ends constitute a game effectively. So in a 16-player game, which pretty much covers a weekend pennant, 60 ends. In a 12-player game, 45 ends, and then 9, 7, and 6 sides down there. So what this means is 60 ends in total across the 4 rinks. It does not mean 15 for each rink times 4. So as I'm sure we'll all know in pennant, sometimes a rink can get quite far ahead or a rink can get quite far behind. If there's sort of rain coming or there's heat possibly coming into play, try and get to the 60 ends across the rinks as possible. So if you end up on 20, that's fine. You just keep going until the 60 ends constituted across all 4 rinks. We had examples in the past of where teams have got to 15 ends and then gone and sat down and said, our bit's done. That's not the case. It should not happen. So you keep playing until you need to come off or the game's abandoned. But don't get your portion of the 60 ends done and then sit down. Same goes to 45 ends. And the other examples there are the 9, 7, and 6-a-side games. Results and team submissions in Bowlslink. So this clause just covers around what time they need to be in by. So top of the clause says the home and away sides are responsible for entering their teams in Bowlslink prior to the commencement of a game. Again, this includes all late changes. So as side managers, you need to be pretty au fait with how Bowlslink works and making them changes if things happen on the morning of a game, as we know they can. Results must be finalised by the home club by 6 p.m. the day after for weekend pennant, and by 3 p.m. the day after the game for midweek pennant. So, from our point of view, that's ample time to enter the scores. As we've mentioned, in what we think is best practice for side managers, you should be doing the entering of the results and the matching up of the skips immediately after the game. It's just one less thing you got to worry about once you've done. But yeah, if you do rely on one person at the club to enter the results, which I'll emphasise again, we don't say is best practice, then you just got to make sure the results are in by 6 p.m. the day after the game for weekend, and 3 p.m. the day after the game for midweek. This just helps with our ladders and results coming in as quick as possible. I know we all sort of it's part of our Saturday routine where we'll hang around the club for a couple of hours after the game and then head home to get some dinner, and then we'll look over the results from the day. So yeah, please try and play your part in enabling that from there. Again, just another little bit around the dispute form, and Maddie's showing you where to find that on the website. So if you put them in for weekend pennant, we generally get to them first thing in the morning on a Monday. If you're putting them in on a Tuesday evening or a Wednesday morning, we'll normally get to them the same day that you put them in. So we're pretty quick at turning them around. Once you submit them, what normally happens is rounds 1, 2, and 3, we sort of get a fair few come through the disputes because little mistakes have happened. People are a bit rusty in entering results. And then it sort of evens out a bit from there. So my advice there is to try and be as prepared as you can leading into round 1, so there's no little errors happening. Clause 35. So bear with me on this one because this is an in-depth clause. So we've got 3 examples there: heat, lightning, and rain. I'll start with lightning, then go to rain, and then go back up to heat. So essentially, this is Maddie's done a little table at the bottom, which is pretty easy to read. In terms of what the side manager's role is, what the umpire's role is, and then defining what an interruption and a stoppage is, and then also defining what an abandoned match is. So if we take the rain clause, essentially if it starts raining and you're in the middle of a game, the side managers can agree to come off the green. So if they deem it is not playable for their players and they agree, then they can both leave and both sides can leave the green. If they do not agree, so one side manager says, nah, it's completely fine, what are you whinging about? And the other side manager says, nah, we don't want to play in this. It's then escalated to the umpire. So the umpire will make a call if the managers can't agree. So the umpire will either say, no, it's playable, carry on, or the umpire will say, no, it's not playable, let's all come off the green. The only small caveat to that's not in the table is the greenskeeper or greens director can make the call that play must be stopped because damage to the green is occurring or will occur. So if the greens director or greenskeeper, whoever is nominated from them two at the club, make that call, then exactly the same as an umpire, the players must leave the green. If you are off the green for less than 10 minutes, so when you come off the green, best practice is for the side managers to start taking start a timer on their watch or their phone, or just note the time they left the green. The umpire should be doing this anyway, as should the controlling body. If you're off for less than 10 minutes, you then go back on to the green and you finish. You start from where you were. So if you're up to your thirds bowls, as an example, you just start from there. You just carry on from the same order as if you hadn't come off the green. That's for less than 10 minutes. If you're over 10 minutes, so let's say 11 minutes, for example, that is declared as a stoppage, which means the end is dead and must be replayed. So even if you're down to the skips bowls, you've got 1 or 2 bowls left in the end and that's it, but you've been off the green for 11, 12, 13 minutes, that means it's a stoppage and you will have to replay that end. So just a quite clear definition of what is an interruption and what is a stoppage there. And an abandoned match is if a single stoppage exceeds 1 hour. So you can have multiple stoppages in a game. So you can come off for 30 minutes at one time. You can come off for 25 minutes another time. You come off for another 15 minutes. That's fine. They don't accumulate overall. A stoppage is an abandonment is 1 clear stoppage of an hour. So once you get to the hour, if you've come off for rain, and you're off for an hour, then that game is then abandoned. And then we go back to that clause we spoke about a couple of slides ago in terms of how many ends constitute a game. If in the 16-player game, it was 60 ends. So if you've only played 59 accumulatively, points will be shared. It's classed as an abandoned game. If you've played 61 ends, then the results as they were at that time stand. The only other thing to note with the sort of stoppage exceeds 1 hour and is you have a time limit on what time a game must be completed by. So it's 6 p.m. for a weekend pennant. It'd be 5 hours from 10:30 on a midweek pennant. So if you are accumulating stoppages, you get a 30-minute here, a 45-minute there, a 25-minute here. You're just going to make sure your game's finished before that 6 p.m. cut off. Again, if you get to 6 p.m. and you've completed 61 ends in a 16-player game, then that will class as a completed game. If it's 59 ends, then it's not classed as a completed game. So that's rain. Lightning, which I said I was going to do first, but I'm now doing second. So lightning, if lightning is sighted, and it's not just in the venue, it's if lightning is sighted in the venue or surround. So an example, we were at a Vic Open a couple of years ago, and there was lightning in the distance at Shep Park, but we took all the players off. So if you can see it, if someone can clearly see the lightning, it means you've got to come off for 30 minutes, go inside an enclosed building and come off for 30 minutes. Obviously, with lightning, it can move, so it can come closer, it can go further away, it can disappear completely. If you don't see any more lightning strikes, then you can return to the green after 30 minutes. Obviously, 30 minutes exceeds the 10 minutes for a stoppage, so you need to replay the ends from where you were. It'd be classed as a dead end, so you'll replay them. If whilst you're inside the enclosed building, within that 30 minutes, another lightning strike comes, you need to restart that 30 minutes. So you need to be aware of the abandoned match clause with lightning as well. If you come inside from a lightning strike and then 29 minutes later another lightning strike comes, then you're going to have to restart that 30 minutes. You're going to get close to 59 minutes there. So once you hit that 59-minute mark, you need to pretty quickly get back on the green and replay them ends and get the game going from there. If a third lightning strike came at that 59-minute mark, you'd be going in the abandoned match territory. Just an extension of what's in there for lightning. An enclosed building is obviously 4 walls, like a clubhouse would be an enclosed building. Just to note with lightning that these rules apply to every single facility unless you are playing already in an enclosed building. So the only examples of enclosed buildings we have, or the only example we have of an enclosed building we have in Metro Pennant is Brighton, for those that have been there. In regional, Traralgon's the best example I can give of an enclosed venue that the lightning rule doesn't apply to. Facilities with a canopy or a fabric roof, so a la Dandenong is a best example. Sunbury I can give in Metro Pennant, or regional would be Moama or Sebastopol, something like that. The ones that have the fabric roof but are not enclosed sides, they still have to follow this lightning clause. So the manufacturers of them roofs don't promise sort of safety from lightning. So we're obviously not going to do that. So if there's lightning present and you're playing in one of them covered facilities that isn't enclosed, you need to follow the lightning rules to come off for 30 minutes and go into an enclosed building, which one would assume would be the clubhouse next door to it. Heat is a third rule. So heat, again, I'll reference Metro Pennant here, whereas it's regional pennant is too difficult to cover in this meeting because of the 11 regional regions that look after their pennant. They all have varying different temperature points. Some parts of the state are hotter than the others, and they also have different points of when that temperature is called from. So I'm only going to focus on Metro from this. If you do need some assistance with your region and your regional pennant, let us know. We can put you in contact with a regional. We can help you interpret the rule. So I'm just going to caveat with this next little bit. We'll just be focused on Metro pennant. So if the temperature is 36 or above, that's going to require a stoppage in play. You not necessarily a stoppage, could be an interruption, but you're gonna have to come off the green. You will use your bomb that is outlined in section 3 of the condition, section 4 even of the conditions of play, right at the bottom of the document. There's a couple of tables that show what bomb you need to look at from each club. The side manager, as well as the umpire, should be consistently checking that temperature if it's known that it's going to be a pretty warm day. If it gets to 36 on the bomb, you need to come off, go inside, cool off, keep checking the bomb. When it drops below 36, you can go back on the green. Obviously, if it's less than 10 minutes, it's an interruption, go and finish the end. If it's more than 10 minutes, it's a stoppage, replay the end. And if that stoppage exceeds more than 1 hour, then it's game abandoned. What we encourage with heat is common sense and a bit of duty of care to yourself. So where that sort of starts is we can all see the forecast in advance for heat. If coming in Tuesday, Wednesday of a week leading into a weekend pennant game, you can see it's forecast 36, 37. We implore you to contact your opposition and organise an earlier start time. We've seen that happen to pretty good effect last season a couple of times. Me and Maddie ourselves are involved in a game where our clubs were playing against each other, and it was just a simple phone call. Was, have you seen the heat? Yeah. Do you guys want to start at 10 a.m.? Yeah, done. So we started at 10 a.m. that day. Just flick BV, so me, Sam, or whoever it might be, a message letting us know you've done that. One, we can update Bowlslink, and two, just aware of what's happening. You can also play Friday night or Sunday, whatever you need to sort of organise to get that game. Or I saw an example of it starting at 6:30 on a Saturday evening as well to avoid the heat. So please have some duty of care to your players and reach out to the opposition to change the time of game if it's forecast to be pretty hot on the afternoon or the morning. So generally we get away with it a bit more in midweek pennant because we start earlier in the day, but yeah, still one to be aware of for you there. It's over to you, Nick.
I think we'll be using this recording, Jimmy. Well done. Just some best practice. We probably have already mentioned some of this. Entering teams prior to the game. Make sure if you're the away team, late changes are fixed up before the game starts. So make sure results and teams match. So we can't say that enough before the home team finalises the results. That's what we saw too much of last season in Metro. If you are still using away team confirms, you won't get that finalised match as the home side. Make sure you confirm the results straight after the game. Don't leave it to the next day or forget about it. Keep your cards. If you are using cards, you'll need that to lodge an appeal. And I've shown you where to access that form. I think we had a question about this. You can access Bowlslink various ways. I don't recommend using your phone, but you can do it. I would suggest a tablet or a laptop. Obviously, the home team can finalise. They're going to have more access to devices like that. It is internet-based, so you don't need to load the program onto your computer, which I get questions about. So bowlslink.com.au. Side managers should have a copy of the conditions of play. So refer to our website and print them out and put them into your bag or your box, whatever you use. And as Jimmy mentioned there, duty of care to your players, prepare to move your match. If you know well in advance that the weekend is going to be really hot. I know last year, the first thing we did after Christmas as selectors is we looked at the weather prediction and decided whether we needed to start making moves and change our match. All right, Q&A, Jimmy. I didn't see too many come in. You're on mute there.
Sorry, mate. Couple have come in. Not really questions, more statements, some of them. So Paul just asking who gets the security code for Bowlslink. That'll be anyone who's got a club admin profile. It's a little bit, it's got some teething errors, the security code for Bowlslink currently. They've decided in their wisdom to do it via email as opposed to SMS. However, that's changing. Probably it's going to take 2 months for that to kick in. So if you are a club admin, you've had some frustrations trying to get that security code via email. It is changing to SMS, but just it might take a couple of months to implement.
Just let us know. There's a couple of things we can do, but that code should be going to your email address. Authenticator app is another option. I might show you where a training guide on how to use that is located at the end.
Yeah, cool. And just asking, should team managers swap mobile numbers if they need to contact each other before finalising a game? I'll say no, only because we say best practice is to for the side manager to be finalising the game right next to the away side manager straight after the game. Obviously, if you need to pass on phone numbers because it's going to another person to confirm the score, that might be the way to do it. But yeah, from our perspective, all side managers are good with Bowlslink. They should be doing it straight after a game. Stephen just saying that you can use a mobile number as login for your ID after you've set up your initial account, or your member number as well, as opposed to your email. So good chat there. And then one just coming from Wayne. I was halfway through answering, but I'll just answer it now. If it's 6 p.m. and the ends are half completed, are they played out, or are the ends considered dead as soon as it hits 6 p.m.? I'm 99.9% sure on this one.
Finish the end?
No, I'm going the other way.
Really?
Yeah, because the 6 p.m. cut-off's a pretty hard line. We don't have anything in there that says complete the end in the conditions of play. I will confer with our officiating and laws committee, Bob and John. They are in Perth at the moment at the Nationals. So my best way of getting the answer to that one is to email them tonight.
I'm going to go the opposite, Jimmy. They're always big about finishing ends.
I'll get the answer tonight, and we'll add it. We'll add like a little 10-second to the recording at the end of this, yeah. When Mal uploads it to the website. Yeah.
Well done, Wayne.
Yeah, it's a good question. Look, I'm confident that I'm my way, but yeah, I do recognise there's a secondary point on that one. For me, I think, especially if we're pushing a time limit, it needs to be done. But whatever, we'll fix that up.
Be interesting if that last end is the
69th end too. Yeah, of course it will be in the first time it happens. To be fair, just to caveat that, I don't think I've seen many examples of games going to that sort of time limit. I've in the 4 years I've been looking after sort of Metro Pennant, I don't think I can give you one example of that happening, but I'm sure as soon as I say that, it'll happen. So we will find the answer out. But no more questions from now, but we can leave it open for another 30, 45 seconds or something if you want to throw one in there.
We've got Michelle Ford who's raised her hand. We might get her to ask her question live. There's Michelle. Are you right to talk, Michelle? You just need to unmute yourself. If you want to put it in there, type it in, you can. You do have the ability to talk though. Just unmute yourself, the bottom left. There you go.
Yep, sorry, I was trying to see where I could type in, but it wasn't letting me.
Are you happy to ask your question live?
Yep.
Excellent, go for it.
How early can you put your sides into the app? Like before the game?
Okay, I think you broke up a little bit there, but I think I got the question. How early can you put it in? You can put it in as early as the team gets selected.
Yep, okay. So Thursday night's not unacceptable.
Yeah, no, you can definitely do it Thursday night. Yeah, no problem at all.
If you were very good, Michelle, and you knew the team for the whole of the season, you could input it now if you wanted to, essentially.
No, there'd be too many changes to make that.
Yeah, agreed.
Thank you.
No
problem. Thanks for the question.
Damo just asking, a Prem Reserve definitely going to live on scoring this season. Yes, mate. Obviously had a couple of hiccups with some of the trials, but the ones that have worked well. So yeah, absolutely. We'll be doing a bit more training this week. It's probably, I don't know, between the 40 of us on this call, of the 16 teams, probably 4 concerns in terms of clubs not ready for it, but we'll make sure they're ready to go by round 1. So yeah, should be exciting. Then Paul asking what happens if the away team hasn't put their team in at the
That's a
start.
really good question.
Yeah, look, that's frustrating. In that example, Paul, put your teams in as you normally would.
Actually, Jimmy, as the home team, if you've got your team in and the results are in, you can finalise the match.
Yeah.
So it'll then be up to the away team trying to follow that up and get their teams put in.
And I would be flicking me an email, Paul, as well, just to let me know that that's happened. We try and be across what's been entered into Bowlslink every week. We normally have a quick scour on a Monday morning to make sure there's no weird stuff happening in there. But there's obviously a lot of games across Metro Pennant, both midweek and weekend. Sometimes we don't see everything. So if that happens, please send me an email. Matty will put the contact details up later. It just helps us be across who's not using it correctly. They'll probably get a please explain email in the first instance, and if it's a constant reoccurrence, we'll be having more of a sort of sterner chat from that. But as the home team, if you come to the end of the game, the away team's side isn't in there, you can record scores against your rink. So obviously you'll know who's won 21-10 and who's lost and all that sort of stuff. Put the scores in, and then it's on them to go chasing up to put their team in for finals eligibility from there. But do flick me an email so we can keep across what's going on. And then Paul just asked for an entering teams when a sub has to be used. So
yeah, I didn't do that one when I was in the demo.
Yeah, Maddie can quickly show you now where to. Do you want to, if you can get it up, how to put a sub in. So as we say, it's best occurrence when you come off a game after you've completed a game. The 2 side managers should be having a quick confer to make sure what is entered into Bowlslink is correct before the home side manager hits finalise. It'd be at that point as the away side manager or the home side manager, you would go in and change Bob to substitute. And Matty will show you how to do that now. So
I actually can't. I've finalised these. I only
okay.
put 2 matches in here, and I'm not able to reset them. But just when it comes to selecting your team, in that drop-down menu, sub is and unplayed are down the very bottom. So if you do happen to have a player short, you can use unplayed. If you've got a sub that's allowed to play from another club, just put substitute in there. There are 2 options in your drop-down menu for those positions. And obviously substitute can play any position except skip. And unplayed is generally going to be in the second position.
Unplayed they can go anywhere. Oh, sorry, yeah, it is. But you can only have 1 per rink for an unplayed. If you're in a 4-rink game, you can have 4 unplayed positions. But you get to a 5th, you're gonna have to forfeit the game.
Yeah, good question.
That's it. I'm there, mate.
Done?
Yeah.
Great work. Jimmy mentioned how do you get support? Oh, before we do that, I did mention that Bowlslearn, which you can access through your Bowlslink. I'll show you where it is. It's down here on the bottom left. You will need to log in again using your Bowlslink login details, but click here for the course catalogue. We have officiating and coaching, and down here we have Bowlslink. So Bowls Australia have a full-time manager and coordinator, so they're going to really look at improving support for Bowlslink. So if you've got any side managers who want some further training apart from the webinar that we're doing tonight, direct them to this module. I've had some really good feedback from 3 or 4 people that did it after this morning's session, that the module was really good. And here are our details. Again, I forgot to put Sam's mobile in. You can get it off the website. There's Jimmy's details. Sam, who just has joined us, has been doing some great work with Jimmy. There's my details. And I think both of us will be asking Bob and John about that condition of play question. But Bob and John are
Sounds like
really
we need to have
good
we need to have a coffee on it, Matt.
I've definitely got a coffee on it. But Bob and John are really good with their time. If you've got any questions about the conditions of play, send them an email or give them a call and they'll be happy to answer them. Great job, Jimmy. I think this will be the better recording. Great work tonight.
Mate, thank you. Thanks all for joining. And our own Joshy Thornton's on the live stream at BA at the moment in the para singles final. 9-8 up currently. So go JT.
Go JT. Have a great season, everyone. See ya.